All right, everybody, it's the Purple Perch. Tad here. Look, we're gonna do a full episode of the Purple Perch a little later in the week, and full reaction to the Baltimore Ravens loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. This is just going to be a little short video to kind of give some instant reaction here. It's been about, I don't know now, 16 hours or so after the loss, and the reality is it's tough, man. I mean, everybody was super pumped. It was like, hey, Baltimore Ravens AFC Championship game. This is going to be incredible. And then, who would have ever even been able to take into consideration that in such a short period of time later, it was going to be, feeling very, very different and more like just a challenging time for Ravens fans out there. And one of the things that we got to look at in this situation is the Ravens lost this game because they should have lost the game. Before, and I've seen people out here jumping out, blaming the refs and all that kind of stuff. The list of people to blame is long before you get to the refs. If you're a Ravens fan, there are lots of people to blame for the Ravens loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's a long list before you get to the refs. Yes, could some calls have been made? Sure. Should some calls have been made? Maybe. But the idea that those things are what caused the Ravens to lose the game completely takes everything out of the idea that they were out-coached, they were out-schemed, and then they were outplayed. Way below all of that comes the officiating. And, the fact of the matter is, any sort of, game plan that the Ravens would have had coming in that had them say, let's have Lamar drop back 46 times to throw the ball, that's already a losing game plan. Everyone should know that. Everyone. And I don't mean everyone on the Ravens coaching staff. I mean everyone who has casually watched the Ravens should know that that is not how the Ravens win games. It's simply not. And this idea that we're going to, kind of almost overlook that in some respects, there were a total of 6 plays for Ravens running backs in this game. This is the number 1 rushing offense in the league, and you put the ball in the hands of your running backs 6 total times. 8 times total if you count 2 designed runs by Lamar Jackson. And the problem is those runs were actually working. Right? In the very few that we saw some nice plays, we saw some effectiveness. This idea that it was impossible to run the ball against this team, that's absolutely false. And the idea that the game had gotten too far out of hand is completely false because there was no running early in the game. And this was, at one point, this is a very close game, and it was never down. The Ravens were never down by more than 10 points. So the idea that we're just going to, kind of turn a blind eye to this idea that, the Ravens were, doing what they should have been doing, or that things were going the way they should have been, is just completely false. And yes, Lamar did not play a great game. And the Lamar haters and the Lamar, detractors are going to be coming out in force now. This game was never designed or set up for Lamar to be successful. And that's just the bottom line. That's a coaching decision. And it's not only Todd Monken. It's very, very easy to just look at the offense. And because that's the offense, you look at the offensive coordinator and you go, okay, well, that's Todd Monken. John Harbaugh had to sign off on this. He had to sign off on this game plan. If he didn't, then that's a bigger problem with coaching, because that would have meant that you have a head coach going into the AFC Championship game unaware of what the offensive strategy was going to be. And I don't believe that would have been the case. So Harbaugh knew and signed off on it. Monken came up with it. It could have been based in any number of different things. It could have been some things that they saw on film that really made them think that the Chiefs would be vulnerable or to catch them off guard. I don't know how they could have thought that. It doesn't make any sense that you would think that. When you look at, they have 2 of the top cornerbacks in the league in Kansas City, in L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. Why are you going to attack them when they're a very low ranked rush defensive team in the Chiefs. Buffalo showed you can run the ball on this team. And the idea that we wouldn't do that for really the entire game, it was almost a conscious, willful decision to not do the thing that you're best at. I don't know if the idea was just to put something else on film for the Super Bowl and think that that was going to confuse people. There's no explanation for the decision making on offense. And I do think that, there are going to need to be some answers. I think Harbaugh needs to be able to give some answers. I think Todd Monken should have to give some answers as well. And beyond just the kind of rote, easy response of, well, the game just kind of went the way that it went. And, it's easy to see that in hindsight, but at the time you run the plays that no, that's not possible, because everybody watching the game in real time was saying, why aren't you running the ball? What's happening? Why have you abandoned the run? Everybody. And I'm texting with T-Rock and other people and just going like, what's happening? Why aren't we settling into this offense of running the ball? And so at halftime, you thought, okay, well, surely this is where those second half adjustments, and the Ravens have done a very good job throughout the season making second half adjustments. This is where they start to make the second half adjustments, and we settle in, we start to pound the run, we take over on ball control. It's such a close game. No big deal. We've got this thing in the bag. But they didn't change anything. And that really has not been the case with this team throughout the season. They did change. They did adapt. They did read the room and see what was happening in the flow of the game and then make changes and make adjustments as needed. We saw it in the Houston game. Completely different two halves of football against the Houston Texans in that divisional round for the Ravens. First half, really tight, challenged with with how to overcome the Texans blitz and the blitz packages and their designs. Second half, okay, let's adjust this, right? We're going to move into a more of a quick passing offense to get, neutralize the blitz essentially. We'll lean heavy on the run. We're going to open up the pass game off of the run. We'll move into those quick passes. And we saw a totally different team in the second half of that game. That's what everyone would have expected in this game. And yet somehow, against a team that you are playing directly into their strengths, we were just stubborn. It seems like the Ravens were just stubborn for reasons that I don't understand. And it's really frustrating. 2019, the Ravens lost in the divisional round to the Tennessee Titans. And it was a painful, painful loss. And at that time, it was, they're just trying to run the ball too much. They're leaning on the run. You can't come from behind this way. And it's almost like now, this was the exact same scenario, just with the opposite offensive strategy, which is just, we're not going to run the ball at all. We're going to throw the ball all over the place. And this idea that, like, man, I just don't understand. I don't understand how you neutralize the thing that the Ravens have been the very, very best at all season. And again, Kansas City did not neutralize that. Baltimore neutralized that. They took it themselves out of the game plan. Why? Why would you do that? It does not make any sense to do that. And when you put yourself in that situation and you're no longer doing what you do best, you have now made things very, very difficult on yourself. It's going to be incredibly difficult to think that you're going to be successful that way. It's almost impossible. And when you put yourself in a situation where you are now going against an incredibly good coach and an incredibly good quarterback, and you think that you're just going to do something that you're not very good at and you're going to find ways to win, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And so when you're in any scenario like that, you have got to put your absolute best foot forward to be able to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. You know that going in. Like, we talked about this at length here on the Purple Perch. This was not going to be an easy win. There was major fear around this game because we know what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid have the ability to do. And then we took the ball out of the hands of some of our best weapons doing the things that we're the best at doing. And did it for the entire game, even when the game was very, very close and very much within reach. So a couple things I also want to say before we wrap it up, because again, we will have a full episode coming later this week. Ravens fans, I see what's being said on X. I see what, the messaging that's been put out there. Don't be like the fans that you see from other teams that you don't want to be like. Don't be that. Don't sit here and hate the team. This team is ahead of schedule. Nobody thought coming into the season that the Baltimore Ravens were going to end up in the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game, right? And I say nobody. I know there are a few people out there that would have picked us, but in general, there were a ton of unknowns. Second-year defense under Mike Macdonald. Played really well in the second half of last season. Didn't really know for sure what this season was going to be like. First year under a brand new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. We had no idea what the offense was going to look like. For the first half of the season, the team was relatively inconsistent, lost some games that we had no business losing. And then things got progressively better and better, and they figured it out and got on a roll. I did not anticipate this team being a Super Bowl team this year. The idea that they got to the AFC Championship game is a win. It hurts losing it. It sucks. It's painful to lose an AFC Championship game. One game away from the Super Bowl. We're there in position to win it. And you don't know if you're going to get back or when. However, fans out there, try appreciating what the team gave us this year in a somewhat unexpected way. And not be like all the other fans of all these teams that we love to make fun of or love to complain about and say, man, they have no appreciation for what they have over there. These guys are fair weather fans. They throw their team under the bus the moment things get bad. And then I see so many Ravens fans doing the exact same thing. Are there questions that need answers? 100%. And quite frankly, we deserve answers to them. And we deserve them from John Harbaugh and Todd Monken. I think there's every possibility that Mike Macdonald will not be back as defensive coordinator. Obviously not because of him and his skill set. I think there's a very high likelihood he's going to be moving over to take the head coaching job with the Seattle Seahawks. I hope I'm wrong. I really don't want to see the guy go. But I think that's the highest likelihood of what's going to happen right now. I think it's going to be Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, taking over in Washington for the Commanders as head coach. And I think it's going to be Mike Macdonald going to Seattle. So the point is, yes, this team coulda, shoulda, woulda made it to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl this year, 100%. Agreed across the board. That's what should have happened. They had the team to be able to do it. It's frustrating. It's disappointing. But you know what? That team did really well this year. They had a very, very successful year. And we're talking about young kids for the most part. Lamar just turned 27. Zay Flowers, who's taking a beating right now, for two things, right? Fumbling at the goal line and then the taunting call. The fumble at the goal line, that's just a great defensive play. I can't be mad. I wish it hadn't happened, but you can't be mad at Zay Flowers for trying to make a play. They made a great defensive play and punched that ball out. Say what you want about the fumble through the end zone and that call and whether or not they're ever going to, change that, but that's an NFL call. That's the way it is right now. The taunting penalty, he's young. That probably won't happen again. He will learn from this. That was incredibly reckless and stupid at a very key and important moment in the game. But he's a young guy. He's a rookie. He's brand new into this. It's his first time in this situation. It does not make sense to try to beat these guys up relentlessly for making mistakes when they're 22, 23 years old. Lamar's never been in an AFC Championship game before. Zay Flowers, it's his first season in the NFL. These things take time. They just do, right? And we don't want to give it time because we want everything to happen right away. We see that this Ravens team was the best team in the NFL. But yesterday, they were not the best team on the field. The Chiefs were the best team yesterday. The Chiefs were the best team on Sunday. The Ravens were the best team throughout the last maybe 5 weeks of the regular season and going through the playoffs. The Ravens were the best team in football. But on that field on Sunday in the AFC Championship game, the Chiefs were the better team. Better coached, better schemed, better executed. That's it. Those are the three things, right? It's scheme, it's coaching, it's execution. Did they have us out coached? Felt that way, because what are we complaining about? We're complaining about Harbaugh and Monken, coaches. Did they have a better scheme? Sure seems that way, because what are we complaining about? That they didn't run the ball. And what are we talking about on the execution side? Again, to use the old phrasing, right? How do we feel about the execution of the team? We're in favor of it. So that's all what's being talked about right now, those three things. In all three of those phases, the Chiefs were the better team on Sunday. So why would that team not deserve to win? This was the Ravens lost the game 100%. Far more than the Chiefs won it, the Ravens lost it. And that's a problem. And that problem needs to be addressed, and addressed very aggressively. But we just can't turn our backs on the team and be so disgusted with them. Marlon Humphrey goes, live after the game, and then people are telling him he's a bum and all this stuff. Come on, man. That's not, you can be a fan of the team and not like the way the game went and be disappointed, but not attack the team and attack the players. That's not the way to do it. Be a fan, be a real fan, and understand that this is an evolutionary process. Is it frustrating? Yes. But there are a whole lot of other teams that would love to be in the situation that the Ravens are in right now. With this young nucleus, with this quarterback, are there questions? You better believe there are questions, and there are going to be a lot more of them moving forward. But you can't deny that the future for the Ravens looks solid. And there are a lot of teams out there that don't even have a quarterback, or don't even have a coach, or don't know what they have. The Ravens have a really good young nucleus of talent. They have an excellent front office. They have an incredibly good coaching staff. They have a signed young quarterback who's going to be a 2-time MVP, should be. So those are all wins. You can't win them all. You're not going to get everything in life. But this was a very successful, good, rewarding season by the Ravens. And we need to be able to take a step back and enjoy the fact that we're playing football at the end of January. One game away from the Super Bowl. That is an amazing feeling to have. And it's a feeling that a lot of other teams wish they had the opportunity to have. So yes, was it a loss? Yes. Was it frustrating? Yes. Are there questions? Yes. But are there wins? Yes. Are there things to be excited about? Yes. Is there reason for positive thoughts and excitement and enthusiasm about the future? Yes. Yes. There is. There are. That's the way it is. And so you can feel both. You can feel bummed out. I've certainly been bummed out. Very frustrated over the loss. Didn't understand it while it was happening. Still don't understand it now, later. However, don't take away from the fact that the team gave us a lot. They did a lot. They accomplished a lot. And this is an exciting time to be a Ravens fan. And this was a fun year to be a Ravens fan. So that's it for now. We've got a full episode of the Purple Perch coming up later this week with a full breakdown, full reaction. Myself and Tim are going to be going through everything. Just wanted to put something out in the short term. And, hold your heads up. Stay positive out there. Don't just start, ripping on the team immediately. I know there are questions. Hopefully we'll get some answers for it. In the meantime, try to get some sleep. Stay off social media would be my advice. It's rough out there. And look, we'll look ahead to next season. And hopefully some of you Ravens fans are just Baltimore sports fans in general, because what an incredible time it is to be a Baltimore sports fan with what the Orioles accomplished last season as well. So there's a lot of enthusiasm coming into this season for the Orioles as well. So, look, what we saw with last season in the Orioles and now the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, it isn't a bad time to be a Baltimore sports fan. So try to at least step outside yourself a little bit, look at the big picture, and find some reasons to enjoy it and be grateful for it. Have a little attitude of gratitude toward what we have. So anyway, that's it for now. We'll talk soon. Purple Perch out. Thanks, everybody.